Hey friends, Jessica Mason here with another episode of Sober Story. So, healing kind of comes in stages, and there are ups and downs, and it applies to recovery, it applies to emotional healing. I am a chronic pain sufferer, and I tend to push myself too hard on the good days, and I've always done that. I've always had this go really hard and then nap like a puppy, and that's just how I always am. But with chronic pain, napping like a puppy is a lot of recovery. And I tend to know this is circuitous, but just stick with me. It's going somewhere. I tend to know where my limit is. I know I'm pushing it. I know I'm borrowing spoons. I know that I'm going to have to recover, but there's a place where I stop. I don't wring myself out of everything until I collapse. However, a week ago Saturday, I had to. It was the Water Lantern Festival, and so that our nonprofit, wouldn't dishonor our agreement more than we were with the things that happened. I pushed myself to the point of collapse, to the point of walking a few feet and laying on the ground. And I'm opening the video with this, and this video is actually not about that. And I know we're a minute and a half in. This video isn't about that. It's about the week after that. And the pain was in my back, and the pain that I've had for the last 3 years has been in my head. And it's really interesting how localized pain brings up different emotions. And I had been dealing with this, darkness inside of me because it was my head. So the pain affected my thoughts. This pain was at my core. It was my entire back. It's more pinpoint. And of course it triggered the migraines and the jaw pain and all that. But I had this severe back pain that I hadn't experienced. And it was at the core of my being. And I had a very emotional reaction to it. And I felt like the pain had really broken me open. And I was experiencing emotions that I guess I had kind of buried down. I am, going through a divorce, and the way that it ended left me with a lot of anger. And the reason I was leaving was because the conflict was such a big factor of my pain. So initially, of course I've always missed him, but that was so overshadowed by my anger, by my relief, and this improvement in my health that I was feeling. And I was just grateful, and I was diving into work and doing all of the things that my pain had, prohibited me from doing. But this back pain that I had for about a week, I started experiencing all of the, no, it's okay, they can come out. I started experiencing all of the sadness emotions, the heart and the gut of the end of the marriage. And a week after the festival, to a day, I had a dog pull me over sideways, and I thought I'd really injured my back. It was really intense, really severe pain. And what I had kind of been going through during the week flooded out of me. And I sobbed for the end of my marriage. How much I missed him and how much loss there was. And it's not the only loss in my life right now. 4 of my closest relationships have either changed drastically, have gone away altogether, or taken a break. But the presence of their love in my life has gone away. But the specific pain to losing my husband was so attached to that physical back pain. The experience over this last week, and I haven't been doing videos very much, but the experience has been intense. And I once read a study about how people who were paralyzed at different places on their spine were either no longer able to, or they were drastically reduced in their feeling of the emotions associated with that part. Like the nervousness of the guts. If they didn't have sensation in their guts. They didn't experience it, or it was incredibly diminished, and so on and so forth, the higher it gets. And I was thinking of that as I was going through this back pain, that my body felt broken in half. And so my soul felt very broken in half too. And what poured out was all of the loss, because, you know, my health was getting better and the fighting has stopped and good things are happening in my life. And those things can all be true, and it can still be incredibly sad. I can know that we were unhealthy for each other and still miss him. And I think that when we're going through recovery, a lot of us deal with that kind of sadness for what we're leaving behind. I see posts in alcoholic groups about resentment that people are going out on the weekend, or that they're missing out on happy hour. You know, and that's just FOMO. But I mean, grieving the life that you had has to be part of healing and living a new life. And I wasn't feeling it. I knew I was sad. Of course I felt sad. But I hadn't gone through it. So over the weekend I was going through it. And I urge you, if you are in recovery, if you are healing from something, that you don't forget to do that. And I know other people will tell you that. I'm not the only one. You know, I'm sure people have told me before this. And the truth is that it's not like somebody else telling you means that you're all of a sudden going to be able to feel something that you haven't been feeling. But when it comes up, hopefully it comes up. And hopefully it comes up early enough that you know, late enough that you're strong enough to handle it, but early enough that it doesn't tank the new life that you're building. But hopefully when it comes up, maybe me saying this, or maybe somebody else saying it, clicks for you, and you take a minute. Just take a minute to sit with that pain. Because it can be a good thing to let it go, and it can also hurt like hell. And it hurting like hell doesn't mean you made the wrong decision. It might feel like you did. But it doesn't. And going through that is for you. And I still very much love Quan. I wish him nothing but happiness. I wish he could have been with me. I wish we could have figured it out. But we couldn't. And I don't want that kind of conflict for either one of us. But I love him and I wish him well. And I know that there are people going through, you know, breakups or divorce where the person was abusive, hateful through the whole point, not just at the end, because it tends to bring out the worst in people. And it may feel bad to you to grieve the loss of them. Children who were abused by people in their family have to grieve the loss of that person. And, you know, I read articles on it about how they get no support in that people don't understand. Like, you hate this person, they were horrible to you. Why are you suffering over this? And your grief is your own. Your grief isn't about that person. It's not about the person you're offending with your grief. It's about you and your heart and the stuff that you have to process. And we don't have control over what we're grieving over. But we have control over whether we feel it or not, and what we choose to do with it. And the longer we beat ourselves up for feeling that grief, I think the longer it's going to go on. We're going to get stuck in the shame spiral. We're not going to move on from it. So just take a minute, whatever you're grieving, big, little, feel embarrassed to grieve it. There's no way around it, only through it. And some things have a certain number of tears that have to fall. And I have felt that with loss in the past. Something that I cried over a lot. And then I just realized I couldn't cry anymore, that I had cried the number of tears that were allotted for that. And I never cried again. And I hadn't cried these tears. I hadn't cried enough tears. And for a week, I was really stuffing it down. Sorry, I know this is a long video. This should be 3 different videos, but I didn't record anything. I was stuffing it down because I didn't want to feel it. And the universe does what the universe does. It made my back injury worse. Like for a week, I was stuffing it down and my skin was breaking out. I've put on weight, like in a week, like I've seen change all over me. And it's because I was, again, repressing the emotion. It's what messed me up in the marriage, right? Like stuffing all this negative stuff down. And I wasn't dealing with it. And so then a week later, I just got this, you can't ignore this. Like my friend was telling me I should go to the hospital. That's how bad the pain was. Thought I was broken. But repressing it was just killing my body. So I'm feeling the feels, and my pain is through the roof, and it has been. I have been at very high pain levels, and I had to cancel 3 classes today. My business is coming back, and I had students, and I had to cancel 3 classes, and I've been on oxygen in a dark room. But I'm addressing it. That's why it's a long video. I'm putting it out to the universe, and I'm surrendering this. I need to feel the pain. I'm acknowledging the pain that I'm going through. I'm acknowledging that I miss him, and that I'm sad. And I'm gonna let go of the shame around that. I'm gonna let go of the need to pretend I'm not. And tomorrow, I'm gonna feel better. Tomorrow, I'm going to step into the day with love in my heart. I'm going to create the life that I want, and I'm going to manifest abundance. And I will do a follow-up video. If you got this far, thanks for listening.